A major cybercrime ring just got busted, but it's not time to delete your antivirus software just yet. A human-sized robot goes off-roading, a long-haul semi powered by a hydrogen fuel cell, and bots that help you find the nice on the internet. All that and a whole lot more coming up on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1653, recorded Friday, December 2nd, 2016.
Welcome to Tech News Today. This is the show where we talk about everything you need to know about technology that happened today or around today. And thanks to viewer Keith, who likes to call us the smashy and nicey of tech news.
I just did a Google search that is not going to show me what it is because I did a search for Keith Smash. But I realized Keith is the one that sent in the right. Keith Smash is apparently a musician. It exists.
Keith is in our chat room.
Okay.
Smashy and Nicey.
I've never heard of Smashy.
Are a early television program, according to Wikipedia. Perhaps British. Looks Britishish.
Okay.
Harry Enfields.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I bet if I was wearing glasses, I'd look like Keith or Smashy. Mm-hmm. Or not Keith. Dang,
I'm Nicey, you're Smashy.
I'm messing this all up. I don't even know who I'm talking about anymore. Whatever.
Okay, excellent. Well, maybe we should talk about massive cybercrime.
Ooh, let me tell you, this is going to be a fun conversation. This is a harsh transition, but here we go. It's a massive cybercrime cloud hosting network called Avalanche, which was dismantled with raids in 5 countries after a 4-year investigation. The botnet comprised more than 830,000 internet domains that were seized in the operation. At least 17 malware families are known to have been served from Avalanche, which has basically made its business renting out its cloud platform to cybercriminals, dating back as far as 2009. Pretty resilient, has been resilient over the years, basically because what they've done is they have this round robin technique called fast flux that would effectively obscure kind of phishing and malware and all that kind of stuff, like the site origination. So they're churning these domains in great numbers. That's why the number is so high, 830,000, sometimes as frequently as every 12 hours, churning through these domains and swapping all around to make it much more difficult to track.
I hate fast flux. I've always hated it. If anyone knows me, they know how much I hate fast flux. So this was so widespread. They found victims in 180 countries. Yeah. And just to put that into perspective, there's only 196 countries in the whole world.
Almost every single country ever.
Yeah. So this was a lot. And they were hiding behind proxies. They were disrupting companies, banks, conducting email scams, money laundering, all of the bad things they were doing. And now they're caught, and so you can give out your passwords wherever you want because cybercrime has been solved.
It's pretty much over. Yeah, the internet is basically fixed and totally safe. No, that's probably not. Probably not at all. I do wonder, like, every once in a while stories like this happen where it's like this insane number. And I mean, this, I should point out, is like one of the largest of its kind to be busted in this way. But you do actually have to kind of question, like, will there be any noticeable effect, noticeable change, a significant drop in the reported cases of malware, of this type as a result? And I guess that's impossible to say, but hard to say that I expect that it will.
Right. I mean, most of the time you don't know, right? Yeah. I mean, you're just being used. It's just your cycles that are being used. You're in a botnet. You have no idea. Your password is out there on the dark web for anyone who wants to use it. So you don't often know. So there's no really way to tell. And, I used to work for Microsoft and I worked in the security. I did marketing for the security department. And whenever they busted anyone, it was like, all right, all the press releases out. We busted this major cybercrime ring, and it was a big push. Like, look, we're doing something. And they are doing something. It's great. But continue to use antivirus software. Change all your passwords. Do all of the cleaning stuff that you need to do. And
wait for next week when we'll find out more information on this, apparently. They'll share a little bit more information, so maybe we will have some of those questions answered.
So whatever your feelings about Snapchat are, the company has done a fantastic job avoiding the fake news problem that Facebook has by carefully curating stories from reputable, hand-picked sources in its Snapchat discovery section. But now Facebook might start doing that too. Because the first step is always admitting that you have a problem, Jason. And Facebook has a problem, and they've begun to admit it finally. There's no timeline for when this new feature is going to come out. It looks like it'll be separate from what the news that your friends share, so that it'll be able to maybe pop some of your filter bubbles out there. So, if you're not familiar with Snapchat has a discover feature. And for example, the 13-year-old that lives in my house, known as my daughter, that's where she gets all her news. And, part of it is like, oh, well, I wish she had some better sources, because a lot of it is just, more fluffy news. But it's really good news. And it's handpicked. It's not fake. It's from reputable sources. And I want to see how Facebook does this. I think they need to do it. And the feature will be called Collections, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Facebook's definitely taking the selective route as far as who would gain access based on these leaks. They're reaching out to certain publishers to see if publishers want to get involved. I'm very curious to know if that selectivity would extend into the life of the feature, or if it becomes easier for anyone to get involved with this. Like, is it curated at the beginning and then at some point it opens up? Because services like this always seem to end up doing that. Like, well, okay, so we started this one way, now we're opening it up so that more people can get in on it. And if that happens, does that open the door for like the same problem, or has Facebook kind of learned the issue?
Right. Well, I mean, I think, this is like, again, we should say this is Business Insider just talked to some people and saw some internal documentation that said they were kind of sending out the feelers about this. But in terms of like, will it remain curated? I mean, if they say it's curated, this is a new feature that's going to be curated, I would hope that it would remain curated. Yeah. As far as like when they had, their deals with newspapers, and they started small. Like they, I can't even remember what it's called, where you just, it fast loads.
The instant articles?
Yeah, instant articles. Yeah, they started with just a few newspapers, and then, anyone could get in after that. But yeah, so I think they need to do something, and it's tricky, and it's difficult, but I guess we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and I'll be curious to see how people, like, from what I can tell from reading this, is that would it be integrated into the newsfeed that you're already at, or would it just be a separate section of the newsfeed? I couldn't quite get to that, and obviously it's sidestepping the things like likes that or shares that would normally be the trigger that would increase the likelihood of you seeing something or not seeing something. So, I mean, I love that the curation is a part of this, and I'd be very curious to see if that helps to address the problem of fake news and other issues that exist. But I'll be curious also to see if there's a little bit of pushback from people that are like, well, wait a minute. Why is this hitting my feed? I didn't want to see this. Nobody shared this with me. Nobody liked this so many times. Maybe some people do want that other side too.
Yeah, it sounds to me from reading that it would be separate, that it wouldn't be like the way Snapchat does it is you just slide over. And then, like what your friends share with you on Snapchat is different than the Discovery page, which is all newspapers. But, we should say that curation, it does not solve the problem. They were doing that first.
Right.
Like, that's what they were doing
it's
before.
like coming back
and they had
around.
all liberal white people doing the curation. And so that it was all liberal white people news, you know, so that's part of the problem. So I don't know how they solve that problem. I don't know. And it's not for me to solve, but I think that it is for Facebook to solve. But one thing you can do right now, I saw this, there's a website called escapeyourbubble.com, and it's a Chrome extension that you can add yourself. And every once in a while, so it says at the top of here, it says, who do you want to understand better, Republicans or Democrats? I wish it was a little bit more broad than that. But then if you want to understand Republicans better, then you sign up, and then it just sticks a story into your feed. I guess that Republicans would like, or just, I guess they're guessing that you're, something outside of your filter bubble. So it would show up in your Facebook feed with a red little sign up the top that says, welcome outside of your bubble. We're going to pop it for you. And so this example they're saying is what so many people don't get about the U.S. working class, which a lot of people need to understand, since a lot of the people that are writing about the U.S. working class are not part of the U.S. working class. Right. And so, I don't know, something to try out. I tried it out. I got an article. It was from Slate, which is a website that I follow.
That you actually follow.
But I guess it was trying to explain why Trump voters don't think that they're racist. So it was something that I probably would have read anyway, but it's worth a try.
Yeah. Excellent. Check that out. Cyanogen Inc., the company founded by those who had helped develop one of the most popular open source versions of Android for enthusiasts, has had a rocky road in its pursuit of commercializing CyanogenMod, to say the least. First CEO Kurt McMaster, who was once quoted as saying the company would, quote, put a bullet through Google's head, stepped aside a few months back to be replaced by COO Laura Tal. And now Steve Kondik, who was the creator of the CyanogenMod ROM and Cyanogen Inc. co-founder, has confirmed, and so has Cyanogen Inc. actually through their blog, that he is out as well. You know, man, Cyanogen's road, it's just, they had some early success early on a few years back. They were the chosen OS for the OnePlus One. It was an exclusive deal. But then what, you know, eventually ended up happening is that it was discovered that they had also made a deal behind the scenes with an Indian OEM, Micromax. Even though that was exclusive, they broke the exclusivity to work with somebody else. And it just kind of set this like chain reaction of, I don't know, like when that's your first deal and you break it, it certainly didn't start them off on the wrong foot. So this is just more confirmation that Cyanogen has really kind of changed dramatically over the last couple of years, had such high hopes, such high ambitions for what they could possibly pull off. And it really seems like they're becoming a shell of what they began as.
I'm going to have to trust you on this. It feels a little bit like Game of Thrones. Like I only saw season 1, so I don't get it. I tried to look into this, and it seems, you know, part of it seems like this, you know, age-old story of pushing out the founder of something and everyone getting really angry. So, I mean, is Cyanogen like Linux? Like, is it like a, you know, a flavor of Linux?
So Cyanogen is essentially a flavor of open source Android.
Right. Well, so, I know it's part of Android, but is it? Would you compare it to like in the operating system world, the computer operating system world?
Yeah, I suppose I see what you're saying. Yeah, I suppose so. It's a flavor of Android, kind of in the same way that there are different versions of Linux.
So it's like Red Hat or something. So if like the founder of Red Hat suddenly got kicked out the door, this would be
I suppose it'd be kind of very similar. I mean, I think the reason that people like there've been a lot of attention, at least in the Android circles, to this is that for years, very early on, CyanogenMod, the open source Android kind of project maintained by the community and created by Steve Kondik, was really one of the only ways that you could get your phone to do a whole lot more than what you were able to do by default. Because, you know, early on, phones were very restricted. It was just early days for Android. And so Google hadn't quite gotten to the point where they had built in all of these features. And so, you know, you have the third-party open source community that says, okay, well, we'll do it then. And so CyanogenMod really built a foundation and a reputation for being able to make a lot of people, a lot of users of Android very, very happy and to kind of revitalize their devices. Then they tried to commercialize and move into the commercial market. The open source thing still exists and still happens. It's still community maintained, maybe less important because Android's so much more mature now. But the commercialized kind of direction, you know, a lot of those same people kind of felt a little slighted by that. They're like, oh, well, now you're just turning your nose up at, you know, all of us who helped you get to this point, and now you're just going to make a bunch of money. And not to mention, I mean, Kurt McMaster, who was CEO at the time, made a lot of very over-the-top comments about how awesome Cyanogen Inc. was going to be. So it's like unfortunately, they set themselves up really high, and they weren't able to back it up. So now they're kind of going more services, less OS level stuff. So I don't know. In the Android world, it's kind of like one of those, you build them up and then they crumble and fall, unfortunately.
Well, let's move on to something I'm more comfortable talking about, and that's human-sized robots.
Are you comfortable with human-sized robots?
Absolutely, I am. Especially Atlas. That's the Atlas robot from Boston Dynamics. It just achieved a new skill, moving quickly on uneven, rough terrain. The better to chase you down, say those like you, Jason, who do not welcome our robot overlords. I say, the better to get into disaster zones and rescue people. I don't want to do that. I want a robot to do that. The Florida Institute for Human and Machine Cognition posted a YouTube video of Atlas balancing on partial footholds and using angular arm movements to move forward. No falling down, none of that hijinks of the falling robots we've seen in those other videos. The movement is slow, but all of this movement is based on an algorithm, so roboticists could potentially speed it up so Atlas could travel more speedily when it goes off roads.
Yeah, eventually it's going to get so smart and be able to make these determinations wicked fast and be able to track you down even though there's uneven terrain and not topple over like those hilarious robots falling over videos that you can find on YouTube. That could be the death of us someday when they exact their revenge. Boston Dynamics always brings a smile to my face. I love watching these things as strange as like crossing the wall, of reality. It feels like sometimes watching these robots seems so dang human. I love that it's happening. Like, just to think that this is a 330-pound robot that's able to do this, able to traverse this like lopsided terrain. It doesn't know what's there prior to stepping. It figures that out upon every step, and that's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the important thing. If you're watching the video, it's not a pre-existing model that the algorithm's working on. It's really just what's next, and I'm balancing, and I'm thinking, and I'm moving. And
yeah. I am curious to know what the state of Boston Dynamics is right now. Earlier this year, Google had said that it had planned to sell Boston Dynamics. That was back in March. And I don't think we've heard anything.
I think they have sold them. I don't
they?
think that Google owns them anymore.
I was looking to try and find like who, or are they just independent now, or I don't know. But I was trying to find like some sort of post because I vaguely remembered something happening, but I couldn't find it before the show.
Yeah, and so the algorithm was developed by the Florida Institute for Human and Machine Cognition with the Atlas robot, but they're separate from Boston Dynamics. They have the robot, but they're the ones developing the algorithm.
Fascinating stuff. Long-haul semis shouldn't be left out in the cold when it comes to zero emissions power, and the newly announced Nikola One is driving that point home. Get it? With an operational range of up to 1,200 miles on a single charge. It's powered by a hydrogen fuel cell and controls 6 electric motors, one for each axle. Big challenge, of course, is the small number of hydrogen fueling stations. But in 2018, Nikola is beginning construction of 364 stations across North America. And actually, all hydrogen power vehicles can start using those beginning in late 2019. That's not to say that all 364 stations will be built by late 2019, but as they begin to kind of open up for users of hydrogen fuel vehicles, they're all allowed to go.
I think it would be awesome to have the end of the diesel engine. I know some people would probably disagree, but that's the way I feel. And so, more charging stations for the 18-wheeler, for the big truck, means more charging stations for other people. And that's the problem with these, like the Mirai and the other cars that are that need hydrogen fuel. There's just no charging stations, and that's what we saw with electric cars. And now the more charging stations there are, the more people feel comfortable. The longer range these cars are, because it's really convenience that's keeping people from adopting them mostly, I think.
Yeah, and we're getting closer and closer, further along, with investments like this to make that more of a possibility for people to kind of make that jump and get into it. This in particular, this gigantic vehicle can reach 60 miles per hour in 30 seconds. That's compared to 60 seconds that it would take in a vehicle of the same size with diesel fuel. So considerable improvements all around. Not to mention, it has a 40-inch 4K TV, Wi-Fi, Apple TV, 4G LTE, full-size fridge, freezer, microwave, and 2 full-size beds. Boom.
Whoa. Why does it have all those things in there?
Well, because it's a big rig, and they make their careers traveling back and forth across the United States, so they got to sleep somewhere and be comfortable while they're doing it.
And have a microwave and a full-size fridge?
Heck yeah! Wow. You get hungry when you drive these trucks.
Oh,
or so I'm guessing, because I've never driven one of these trucks, but I have to assume that you do. Write us and tell us, TNT at twit.tv.
No, actually, someone's going to write in, you don't get hungry. That's part of being a truck driver. You just never get hungry. It's weird.
Right. You just keep driving. That's all. That's all you ever do.
Well, here's some feedback. Richard Sims writes, there have been a lot of speculative discussions about when self-driving cars will become dominant, but little about the side effects. What I see happening is that those who choose to continue manual operation of personal vehicles will quickly learn that the self-driving cars around them will defer to the vehicle being operated by the erratic human operator, where that driver will take advantage of the programmed behavior to zip through traffic.
I haven't even thought of this.
And otherwise abuse the self-driving traffic that will get out of the way. This to say that jerks will be encouraged to be bigger jerks in the Jetson era.
Oh, but don't do that. Don't do that, because what if it's just not good enough to understand what erratic behavior you are exhibiting? Don't do that. That's a bad idea, jerks.
Well, I hope all of those engineers working on this will put in the algorithm, the self-driving algorithm. Jerks will be jerks. Important part.
Maybe there can be like a display on the front of the car that can flash like you're a jerk if that happens and it detects it. I think that's what needs to happen.
Or maybe to get a license to not drive a self-driving car, like a license to drive a car, you have to prove that you're not a jerk.
It's a checkbox.
Jerk test.
Jerk with a question mark and a little box next to it. Yes. TNT's fan of the day is at Wildspin on Twitter, who linked us to this picture on Instagram saying, actually, my dog and I are hearing TNT from Japan like this. You can notice that those aren't ears. Those are headphones on the dog's ears. That dog is happy because that dog is learning about technology news.
I'm just going to imagine that the dogs everywhere are listening, and that's their reaction to the crazy things I say.
Because we're always barking and howling on this show, so of course dogs love it.
Right? Did she just say she wants to see the end of the diesel engine? She's crazy.
Oh, I love that. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT, or your dog as well. We would love more pictures of dogs, please. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup and post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook, and use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT, and we'll find it.
So it is rough out there on the internet. We had to call in an expert to show us how to find the good stuff out there, like cute rescue dogs and reviews of the new Gilmore Girls Netflix show. Now, one of the places I go for eternal optimism is the newsletter Bouncy Castle. And tonight we welcome to the show one of the editors, Sammy Main. Welcome, Sammy.
Hi, guys. How are you tonight?
I am good. Thanks so much for coming on. First, tell us what Bouncy Castle is and why you started it.
Sure. So Bouncy Castle is a weekly newsletter that's only full of happy, good content that kind of made us smile. I started it a few weeks ago with some of my Twitter friends. I started it with Darth and Johnny's son, or Jomny's son, as some of you may know him, and Josh Gondelman as well. They're all such happy, positive people. And it was like just before we were all super tired of being stressed out by the election that I was like, guys, we got to do something to help people out there. So we come together once a week. And we include user-submitted happy things as well, which is usually people's pets, because that's what makes people happy, as you guys just saw too. So it's a really fun, just weekly newsletter, just full of happy stuff.
Yeah, I love it, and it's gotten me through the past month or so, and it wasn't easy. Yeah, it's just nice, especially in your email box. Like, you think of newsletters as sort of old-fashioned, but sometimes you need that when you're going through the inbox zero. Just like a bunch of links to happy stuff is nice. And what about Pep Talk? You have another newsletter too called Pep Talk.
Yeah, I do. So that's a daily newsletter that I started, well over a year ago at this point. And it's every day just a little inspirational quote that I found, and then just a cute gift to go alongside it. That's somewhat tangential to what the quote is about, even if the quote is from like Einstein or something. I'll put like a cute Lizzie McGuire gift next to it. And people really, really appreciate that newsletter as well, just to kind of give them something in the morning to get their day started. It's kind of like a cup of happy instead of a cup of coffee, I guess, or in addition to for some people. So that's a daily newsletter that I run as well.
I like my coffee with happy, so I'll take both. So it sounds like you guys are kind of scouring for a lot of this stuff yourself, but you're also receiving this feedback from, I'm assuming, subscribers. How can people submit things to you? And I mean, what is the volume? Because I have to imagine there's a lot of happy stuff out there to go through.
There's a lot of happy stuff. We have, how many subscribers? We have about 26 or 2,700 subscribers so far, which is amazing for a weekly newsletter. That's insane to me. And included at the bottom of every email is user-submitted content, and the email that people can submit their happy things to. We've gotten Kickstarters. We've gotten an actual link to an actual bouncy castle that's available for purchase in case people want a IRL bouncy castle. And people can email dumpsterfirefighters@gmail.com if they want to submit their own happy and see it in the newsletter.
So one of your editors, Johnny, created a Twitter bot, which I subscribe to. And what it does basically is you explain it and explain how it works, the Tiny Care Bot.
Yeah, Tiny Care Bot is a really fun project that Johnny started. It's just something he started when he realized he was so stressed out, but still checking Twitter like all day long. And so it just sends reminders throughout the day that are like, take a walk, like go stretch. Don't forget to drink a glass of water. Since you're going to be looking at Twitter all day long and you're super stressed anyways, you might as well get little helpful reminders to remind you to stay well and to take care of yourself, because that's something that I'm sure can kind of fall by the wayside if you're a little stressed out sometimes. So he made that to kind of help remind himself to take care of himself and other people as well. It's really sweet. It's a really sweet little bot.
I couldn't help but notice that this is the most polite bot in the world, because I'm pretty sure every single update has the word please in it at some point. Even when it kind of doesn't like grammatically work, it's still there.
It really works. I mean, just looking at it all like that, it doesn't. It doesn't mean as much, but literally, like, it has really helped me, because you know what your Twitter looks like, and I am like, oh, I do need to get a glass of water. Thank you so much, Tiny Care Bot, because it really, like, I find myself, sit up straight, talk to people that you know, and you can tweet at it too, right, and it'll respond.
Absolutely, yeah. It's learning more and more. I think I'm not quite sure how automated it is, but you can tweet at it and it'll just give you one of its random reminders. And they're all just really sweet. Like you said, it's all please and thank you. Just trying to be a gentle force on Twitter is kind of what it's up to.
And are there some other bots that you'd recommend, similar bots?
Yeah, there's the Yay Friends bot, which is somewhat similar. It's kind of a go stretch, like don't forget lunch, just kind of a nice way. And that'll reply to you as well even if you favorite it or retweet it. It's like, thank you, like we appreciate what you're doing. It's just a sweet little robot on Twitter. And it's not always something that you'd expect from Twitter or the internet these days. It's kind of just a nice little reminder of the good things out there.
Nice.
And since it's time for the holidays again, last year you showed the world in a BuzzFeed piece about your favorite Yule log. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Of course I can. The internet's favorite cat is Little Bub. I'm pretty sure we're all in agreement on that. She's amazing and she's magical, and she has gone through quite a journey in her little life. And so last year, her owner, her dude, as they refer to him, Mike, put together this like enormously long Yule log video. So you can just stream it and have it up wherever you are, or on your TV. And it's just sweet and soothing and comforting. And it's just Bub being Bub. And who needs more than that? Nobody.
It's true. I'm allergic to cats, but I'd let Bub into my home.
Okay, good.
Exactly. This way you can admire her from afar. You don't know how to mess it up.
So where can I go if I think that only a manatee could possibly understand what I'm going through?
Good question. I would have to say Calming Manatee is the place to go. If the only thing you need right now is a manatee just saying, hey, you're good, then that's your destination. It's so cute. That's like old school internet. That's been around for at least a few years. Yeah.
It totally is. It's old school.
I needed it right now.
And it's maybe the original Tiny Care Bot.
Well, Sammy, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, sadly, you don't just look for fun things on the internet. You are a social media reporter for Adweek, is that, or a digital media reporter for Adweek?
That's correct, yeah. So I write about Hulu and Netflix and BuzzFeed and Vice and everything in between, everything digital media and Twitter and Facebook too.
Awesome. Well, all of this stuff can be found on Twitter at Sammy Main. And you can subscribe to Bouncy Castle and to Pep Talk if you need it. Thank you so much for joining us, Sammy.
Thank you, Sammy.
Thank you, guys. Hope I helped everybody.
I've already subscribed to a few of these bots, so I imagine going into next week I'll be just a little bit lighter up here. I appreciate it.
Hopefully, yeah, a little better.
All right, thank you, Sammy.
Thanks, Sam. Take care.
Bye,
Have
guys.
a good night.
Do you mean lighter up here like you're going to go bald?
No, well, I hope not. I hope that's not what I meant. Okay. If that was how it was interpreted, I take it all back.
Okay.
No, I need a little weight taken off these shoulders.
Okay, got it. Got it.
There we go. Hopefully that'll help me out. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific. Although a haircut, going bald would take a little weight off my shoulders too, actually. Fridays, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be part of the show by emailing us at tnt@twit.tv. You can leave us a short voicemail at 260-TNT-SHOW. And you can find us on Twitter. We're at Tech News Today TV.
So it's that time of year again. We're working on our best of episodes for all the shows on Twit. So I've told you before, go to twit.tv best of to submit your favorite moment of 2016. But we are doing a couple. We've already recorded some of our episodes and recording some more.
So
if you have a suggestion for us about the biggest social media stories of the year, email us at tnt@twit.tv or the biggest AI stories of the year, tnt@twit.tv, or the biggest gaming stories, twit.tv, at TNT, or all of these things can be tweeted at me. I'm at Megan Maroney.
And me too. You can add me to that as well, at Jason Howell on Twitter. Thanks to our technical director, Kara Cole. Thanks to Mario for the words and helping out here in the studio. Thanks to Kevin for editing and making us look good. And thanks to you for always talking tech with us every single day. We will see y'all on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.